Yo, this is the Ancient Texan. It's the first time I'm going to be trying to do a podcast instead of a video cast, whatever the difference is. I'm One of my latest posts was this Iran war may lead to a collapse of America. And I actually think it's starting to happen. It's happening slowly. Just but it's big. It's like some big avalanche that's building. And at first, it's just a little bit of motion and just a little bit of sliding of the slow snow as it goes down the hill. But gradually, it starts moving faster and builds into an avalanche. And I think that's what's happening to America. The snow has built up on our mountain. It's our national debt. What's happening in Iran is causing a problem in America that's far beyond just the military conquest. Right now, lots of countries are in debt and in various degrees of problems, mostly debt related, but there's other big problems happening. But as the ships carrying the oil and fertilizer and polyethylene and urea and helium and all the goods that our society needs, well, they're not showing up because the Strait of Hormuz is blockaded by two countries. We put a blockade on their blockade. How that makes sense, I don't know, but most of what Trump does doesn't make sense. Maybe he's trying to starve out the Iranians, keep them from making money, put more pressure on them. And hopefully it will work. Pardon my cough here. But when the oil doesn't show up in Japan and Korea, the polyethylene and the urea doesn't show up in countries around the world, some wanting to grow food and some want to make stuff. They look around and say, well, there is some oil. I need cash to buy that oil. And there is some polyethylene and some urea. The prices are going up, but to get our share, we need some cash. So they go and sell some of their treasuries to get cash. Now they sell these treasuries at a discount because they're not mature. Like you buy a 3-year bond, 3-year treasury. I think that's synonymous. And you get paid 5% interest. And at the end, you get your money that you put down, you get it back. Say you put $1,000 down, you get paid interest for 3 years, and then you get your $1,000 back. But because you're in a world of hurt, somebody offers you $800 for your $1,000 treasure. You take it because you need the cash to bid on the gasoline, urea, and other products that are available. So when the US Treasury goes out and wants to sell you $1,000 bond, you go, why should I pay you $1,000? I can get the same thing, earlier maturity, for $800 because they're flooding the market because people need cash right now to buy and bid on what's left in the world market. So, what does our Treasury have to do? They have to raise the interest rate. Now, whenever the interest rate has gone above 4.4, Trump has come out with a speech telling how wonderful things are going in Iran to kind of calm down the market, calm down the world, and make the world believe everything's going to be hunky dory. So that they go, maybe he's right. And I guess I will take that Treasury note at only 4.4% interest rate. But I, I don't know if this is a good deal, but I'll do it because Trump's just reassured me that everything's going to be hunky dory. Well, it's not very clear to me that everything's going to be hunky dory. Now, Iran has a huge advantage. As long as they have one missile and a threat, they can probably keep the Port of Hormuz closed. But how long we're burning through like $1 billion a day or some unseemly amount? Perhaps that amount goes down quite a bit when we stop bombing, but so does our effectiveness. So we're going to keep a fleet, a bunch of battleships and cruisers and airplanes and personnel camped out in the ocean near the port of Hormuz. For how long? I mean, what's the plan there? And Iranians are not stupid. They're as smart as us. We fail to realize often that most people around the world we're all have about the same capabilities and mental power. We all like to think we're smarter, including me. At the end of the day, you're dealing with people that are, some are more educated than others, and some are smarter than others, and some are dumber. And some never, use the gray matter. But on average, they're at least as smart as you are. The Iranians is an old culture, and I think with culture comes wisdom. Older cultures, I think, have seen every story play out more times and had more times to learn from all the stories that play out. Well, the Iranians know that it's just a waiting game. All they have to do is wait. Now, American can go in and, make more rubble, can tear up more things. But that mostly hurts the poor people. The rich people, the guys with the guns and in charge, they're not going to be the ones starving. They're not going to be the ones doing without electricity. And if they can just hold on, then kind of the going price for taking a ship through the Strait of Hormuz is about $2 million. 70 or 80 ships go through a day. Let's say it drops to 50 with this new price tag. 50 times a million is 50 million, times 2 million is 100 million a day. 100 million a day times 300. What is that, 30 billion or something? I don't know. Figure it out. It's a lot of money. And with that, they can rebuild, their foundries and their metal plants and their power plants and make new missiles. And they can learn from what they've been through and they can hide them deeper and better, and they will improve those said missiles. And they will improve their grip on the port, the Strait of Hormuz. That's one outcome, and I think it's the most likely. The only other outcome is we give them something in negotiations that makes it a better deal. Now, a better deal might include, helping rebuild their country after we bombed the crap out of it. Israel wouldn't like that, of course. And the American public wouldn't like Trump to do that. So I can't see us really doing that. I can't see us agreeing to letting them charge 2 million. Maybe we could make some deal that we share the oil and we get half and they get half and we both get, $1 million out of each ship passing or something. I could see Trump doing something like that. I think the world would kind of frown on that. So I don't quite see, how we. I don't think they're so desperate that they're just going to hand over the nuclear material and agree not to charge anybody and not to get their country rebuilt. Well, then what are they getting? I don't see what we're willing to give that would make them say, well, if we just sit here, we get nothing, and if we give you everything, we get nothing. So I don't see how this works out. But what I want you to pay attention to is that with all the supplies being cut off to the world, and this is probably going to be in history will be called our first resource war, because resources are going to get scarcer, more difficult, cost more to get our hands on. Oil is probably going to be the first big resource war. Rare earths, antimony, copper, etc. They're all going to eventually be on the list, but they're going to come slowly, one at a time. This collapse is like the snow moving just a little bit at the top of the mountain. That's where we are right now. But the battle that's important is not the battle in Iran, as important as that is, but it's the unraveling of our financial system. At some point, the world is going to believe the U.S. has lost. Right now, they give us about a 50-50 chance. They're edgy and nervous and scared. But the moment the world believes we're going to lose and lose in a big way, and that Strait of Hormuz is always going to be a bottleneck, slowed down by the Iranians and held captive to tolls and rules that they'll come up with. As soon as the world believes that, our interest rate to borrow money against a debt um, is going to go through the roof, and it's going to unravel quickly. The speed of that avalanche is going to pick up speed. The speed of that avalanche is going to pick up space. I'm going to learn how to talk when I grow up. And it's not going to be pretty. If you're at the bottom of that hill living in America, means our dollar is going to become worthless fast. It's going to be more than what we call inflation. So, no, I haven't changed my mind that this war has the potential to collapse America. And that's just on one front I'm talking about right now. There's a lot of other fronts where battle is not going well. This is the ancient Texan, just getting a little frustration off my shoulder. I've got some plans for taxing that I think would help us with the debt, but maybe too late. But I'll throw it out there in another podcast. This is the first podcast I'm trying, just my voice. I don't get a big audience either way. I get so far 20 or so people listening to this, and sometimes I get a few hundred on YouTube. But I don't know if I can put a podcast on YouTube. I'll have to find someplace else to put it. In addition to Substack. Substack's where I make them and post them, but I don't have a crowd here. There's a lot of good competition. I can understand how you guys would not be inclined to want to listen to an old Texan. Anyway, this is the Ancient Texan wishing you a good day, and again, hoping that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Namaste, my friend.